So what we're going to talk today is basically the blueprint of your business, of what you're offering. The sales value ladder is something which becomes the foundation of what you're doing, what you're offering. This is something you should know in your sleep. If I woke you up at 3 in the morning and said, what do you offer at step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 in your funnel, you say this is how much, and this is what happens next. This is something which you have pinned to the wall in front of you, because this is how you map out what you're going to do. What I'm going to do, rather than read out what's on the screen here, I'm going to move straight to this diagram here, because this is what it's all about, the sales value ladder. Okay, so it starts off typically with something that you're offering for free. It doesn't have to be, depends on your sales value ladder, but let's assume like the majority of them, they start off with something for free. So you're offering a lead magnet. Your lead magnet can be, like we've talked about, PDFs, checklists, documents, free consultancy, half an hour on the phone, a visit, a free sample, or whatever it is. Something to get them to give you their email address, and so you can continue the conversation. So they are engaged. So they associate you with something awesome and incredible, probably for nothing, other than maybe the cost of giving you their email address, if that's what you choose to ask for. This is step 1. It's about getting people onto your sales value ladder and associating you with things that are incredibly high value, worth far more than what they're giving you in return. Email address is step 1. Could be money, could be whatever, could be time. Anything they're giving you, you give back to them twofold, threefold, fourfold, times 10, whatever it is you do, because they will then want to go on your journey. Your journey represents their journey. I always use the analogy of A to Z, or A to Z, if that's how you pronounce it. A to Z, A is where they are now, and Z is the big bang, is what you're going to offer them to complete their journey to solve their overall problem, whatever that might be. Your first step on your sales ladder gets them from A to B, or C, or somewhere, just gets them down the road. But what they get in return for giving you the email address or whatever it is you want, typically an email address, is they get from A to C, and immediately off they go. You're off to the races. They are making progress. They're associating you with value and with progress. Awesome. That's step 1. Typically free, may not be, but typically is. Step 2, which becomes step 2 in your funnel, is the next level up. Sometimes referred to as a tripwire offer. This is typically where you will offer a load of value in return for a small amount of money. This is doing a variety of things. One it is doing is getting rid of all the time wasters. If you've read the Traffic for Sales book, we refer to them as wasters, as the 4 types of customer. We want to get rid of the wasters. If they're never going to give you money, let's identify it now and get rid of them. It's all about target audience, all the things we talk about. Perfect customer. Your perfect customer is not a time waster. Your perfect customer is not someone who will never give you money. Get rid. That's the tripwire. So for $7, $9, $19, whatever it might be, something of low financial value in return for some awesome stuff, whatever that might be. That could be the consultancy. It could be a longer version of what the freebie was, the first one. So the lead magnet becomes the longer version. It could be fleshed out. It could be access to some online resources. It can be anything at all. It's just associated with a small amount of money. They give you the small amount of money, and they go from A to C. They're now going to go from C to G, whatever that might be. So now they spend £7, £7, $7, whatever it might be with you, and they've not only gone from A to C, they're now at G. In a small amount of time, for a small amount of money, they have made significant progress, far more than they ever could imagine. They've been pontificating for days, weeks, months, whatever, and suddenly they've gone from A to G. You are their saviour. You are saying, you give me something, and I will give you more in return. That's step 2. Step 3 builds on that again. Now you're getting into something of a real offer. So this could be your core offer. And at that point it could be, right, I've got from G, we're going to get to Z if you give me, £200, $200, whatever it might be. It could be your core offer at that point. It might be something in between. It might be the next level, the next step up, which gets them from G to J, or whatever relative portion of the alphabet it might be. Because again, for another $17 or another $27, or whatever it might be, they got from A to C to G to now J. Quickly, It's been easy. It's not complicated. It's something they can act on immediately. They've gone all this way. You know, they're probably 50% of the way through now. They spend maybe, I don't know, $50 in total or something, and suddenly you are the guy, you are the girl, you are the person who's taken them halfway through their journey of getting to the ultimate solution, removing that pain point for them, giving them the solution, and all they've done is say, if only I'd spent that $50 3 months ago, I'd be here now. What a great person this person is. So you're taking them up that ladder, giving them more and more value, always exponentially more than what they're giving you, because often you're giving them things that you can regurgitate and reuse. So you're giving out things that at this point is something you can give to everybody, but you've demonstrated at this point that you've provided awesome value and you've taken them through that and you've progressed with them to a point where they just wish they had known about you sooner. And then finally, at some point, you'll get your core offer. This is the big one. By now, they're loving you. Progress, value, pure love. You know, if you keep this up with them, they're going to get from A to Z, or certainly close to it, with this core offer, and that's when you've got them, because they just want to know how you're going to keep them going all the time. Finally, after the core offer, you give them the inner circle, the black circle, the nirvana, call it what you want. This is where hopefully you'll turn this one-off purchase into a recurring income. So you then start talking about passive income, which I don't like passive income because I don't think you get nothing for nothing, sorry, something for nothing. But this could be a VIP club for extra level service. It could be a Facebook group, it could be an online membership site built with T4S, it could be a course built with T4S, it could be something beyond what they know. So you've got to Z and now you're going beyond it even more. They don't just associate with getting the job done, they associate with getting the job done and more. By this point, they're just saying how much. They just want to know how much it's going to cost them, because you've proven you are the person who will take them and lead them all the way. So that's that final step, that if you can get your core offer and then something, typically a recurring offer, that's where you're heading in your sales value ladder, all the way up that ladder. So always adding value, always for an increasing price. That's what the sales values ladder is all about. I urge you to digest the Traffic for Sales book. Click on Get the Pack if you haven't. This is the theme throughout the book. Get your pen and paper, or whatever you want to do, and start sketching out a diagram just like it's on the screen and filling in where you're going. And I can give you loads of examples. The T4S sign-up route, I give you 14 days free trial, I give you then $29 membership, and then I talk about things like buying the books and getting free consultancy or paid for consultancy, or building your funnels with you, or copywriting services, all the way through to an inner circle of where the good stuff is really lying, taking people on a journey throughout. This is the sort of mindset you need to get into, and this is why funnels outperform websites in terms of generating increasing amounts of revenue and income, because you're not just saying here's what I offer, buy what you want. You're saying buy what I'm suggesting, see I give you progress, see I give you value, and you will know that if you give me some money, I will give you threefold in return in value, and we will get you from A to Z and beyond, and you will have trust, you'll have value, you'll have progress all the way through. Sketch it out, start playing with it. By all means, post in Funnel Hackers Pro, facebook.com/group/Funnel Hackers Pro. Share, just take a photo and share as your sales value ladder, and let's talk about it, because this is fundamental foundation, blueprint for your funnel, for your business. And remember, once you get to the higher levels, you've then got opportunities for cross-selling, upselling, downselling, everything else that you offer. Instead of giving the website of everything, you lead them through, and then you say, you've got that, you would benefit from this, you've got that, you would benefit from this, let me show you this. Because they love you, they're just going to want to know what you offer, because you are proving progress, value and trust throughout. Go for it. Do your sales ladder, value ladder. Don't skip this. When you've got it, stick it to the wall, because you will know what funnels to build, what pages to build, and if anybody ever says, what are you offering, you can go boom, boom, boom. What happens next? Boom, boom, boom. I've got this. Boom, boom, boom. What do I want? Boom, boom. It's just there in your head whenever you need it. It's a strong part of your armory, so please, please, please don't skip your sales value ladder. Something I wanted to add, so I've just tagged this on to the end of the video, which is important actually. We've covered the sales value ladder, and you've got a funnel, obviously your funnel of 5, 6, 7 pages, whatever it might be, it's important to appreciate that they might get to step 3 and then stop. They don't want what you're offering, and you can offer down sales and whatever you want to do. However, bear in mind that when people are opting in and you're putting them on mailing lists, you're pushing people back to where they've got to. Remember, as you go through funnels, you can move people around mailing lists with T4S. So, if they get to here and drop out, but they're on that mailing list, that email is going to push them back to this step and remind them of the good stuff. So, in managing your audience, it's very important to associate your sales value ladder with where they are in that journey and remind them. They'll be people are busy. They'll be glad you did. So, if they got to here and they're not sure, don't forget to follow up. Follow up, follow up, follow up. 3 F's. Always follow up, bring them back in and remind them. Always, always, always. Maybe have alternate pages. You have the first version of that page, have a second one for when they come back. Facebook pixels for pushing things like ads on Facebook group to bring people back. So if they've seen this already, bring them back. Email classic, you get to a page, they drop off, you send them back to a slightly different version which says welcome back. Maybe give them a discount, maybe give them a bonus extra value because they've come back, and then they carry on again. So don't consider your funnel as a get to a point and stop. Always pushing people back in. This is how a funnel works. You're always following up. That's the core route. But people are always pushed back in through whatever medium, social media, email, whatever it might be, word of mouth, Facebook groups, pushing back people to where they left off so they can continue the journey. So do consider the wraparound service of support and follow up to pushing people back into your funnel so they can carry on your journey.